Welcome to our developer discussions. Today we're going to be talking with the mobile team. Kyle and Liz is with us. They are amazing. Liz in particularly, just kidding, Kyle, I love you too. They will be answering a lot of questions. You guys have already submitted a lot of questions in regards to mobile, but I want them to actually talk a little bit about what they do and tell you the processes of, how we do all these updates. Before that, though, I have a few announcements. We do have a few events coming up. If you guys are around the area for IoT World, from on the May 12th and May 13th, there's IoT World that we have, and also on the 22nd, we have the Hack the Things. It's an event that Major has created. It's amazing. What is that, Major? Quirky?
My portfolio.
Oh. I know. I almost bought one of those too. Anyways, he actually created this amazing event at Portland. I want you guys to join us. A lot of us will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully I see you guys there. If not, we also have plans of meeting you guys in Minneapolis probably at the end of May. I know a few of you guys have asked for that. I certainly will be there because I want to meet you all. So more information very soon. I'm going to just give the platform to Liz and Kyle now to introduce themselves.
Sure. Thanks, April. Thanks for the introduction. So first of all, I'll pre-apologize probably for myself and Kyle. We've both been traveling today, so if I sound jet-lagged, it's probably because I'm jet-lagged. But I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Liz Tepper. I am one of the product managers at SmartThings. I own the mobile side of the project, or the product. So everywhere the client application is, so on the Android, iOS, Windows Phone, as well as the Gear S Watch and soon to be Apple Watch update that we'll be launching. Maybe Kyle can give you some more details around that. What I do at SmartThings is I work very closely with Kyle, the mobile developers, QA, design, sort of spec out all of our improvements to our existing product features and then new product features just based on things that we want to achieve internally at SmartThings, but as well as things that we're seeing on the developer community and in our app reviews as well. So that's sort of the overall job. Things that we're working on right now is we're really taking a close look at our current user experience and seeing ways that we can streamline that experience to just make it easier. I know that there's a lot of frustrating things in the app today, multiple use of modes and actions and references to smart apps and multiple uses of the gear. So we're looking to clean that up and refine that. So I think you'll see some good things come out in the next couple months around that. So that's one of the big initiatives, but that's sort of me in a nutshell. I'll turn it over to Kyle to do an intro and then we can get to some of the questions.
Yeah, so my name is Kyle Lanu. I've been on these calls before, so I might have talked to some of you. I lead up a lot of the technical architecture as well as mobile development. So a lot of the Android, iOS, Windows developers all report to me. So kind of help flesh out what we're doing technically, how to integrate with the platform, as well as how to improve the mobile experience. And yeah, kind of deal with multiple clients. It's not just web, or it's not just the phone. It's any place you kind of see SmartThings and interact with our core API is really what we call mobile. It's really a client application. So.
Awesome. Well, these guys work really hard. I love them to death. They actually, I feel bad for the both of them because they were both at Palo Alto just this morning too, and then they just flew back to make it to talk to us. So I'm really glad that you guys are here. Let's start with a few questions that was submitted from the previous call about mobile. Device tiles improvements. Where's the HTML tiles, image tiles, dynamic tiles, abilities to show, hide, and add? Is there a list view of those?
I can answer this. So it's it's something tiles is something near and dear to my heart. So we've actually historically, from a developer standpoint, we had this really kind of gross way to figure out how you create tiles for the things view, as well as like underneath a group. And we just recently with 1.7.0 on the mobile platforms, all of that messiness is now done on the server. So it actually simplifies a lot of stuff and it gives us really big power. So one of the big things that we can start executing on and probably will in the next couple of weeks for some other requirements is around dynamic tiles. So we've always talked about the ability to have different tiles show up based upon either manufacturer information or even device preferences. It's something that we've wanted to do for a really long time, and we're part of our next UX stuff will address that, as well as different sizes of tiles too, and different types of tiles, as well as different visual displays. One of them, so we do have an image tile. I'm not sure if we've exposed it to developers yet. We do have a list view too, but right now the list view is what you see on the dashboard. So like Hello, lights and switches, recent activity, that is technically a tile, and it's a list view of events. And then the other big one is HTML tile. We have one of those as well internally, but we have not made it publicly available to developers because there's a lot of security risks and vulnerabilities that are there. Is why we haven't kind of opened up. We're also looking at HTML and other parts of the app to help developers. So.
Awesome. Smartphones do a lot more than just presence. The IFTTT app exposes many of the events that happen on a mobile to its servers. What are the prospects, if any, that SmartThings will bring mobile phones into the platform as fully integrated device types? Being able to trigger events based on not only geolocation, but other phones' events in a native way would be awesome. There are so many possibilities, including NFC, beacons, messages, phone calls, etc. You can do some of this with IFTTT now, but it can take up to 15 minutes to trigger a color change in your lights after a missed call. This is something I wouldn't mind for a separate app for. I guess it's not really a question, but a statement comment.
Yeah, we've actually had some recent conversations as recent as yesterday on this topic. I think, and Kyle, you can expand upon it a little bit as well. We definitely have, and on our product roadmap, wanting to expand upon phone as a thing and expose more capabilities and more things that you can do with it. We feel the phone is a really powerful device that we know that we can utilize in ways, much more robustly than we do today. We don't have good timing around when we want to make that change, but we definitely see the potential there and want to make that happen.
Yeah, every phone is different, so that's kind of the tricky part, is because right now the phone is the mobile presence device. So the only capability coming out of that device is really presence, which the phone is sending as an event. But like Liz said, Jeff Higgins and I just talked about this yesterday about how to actually maybe deprecate the mobile presence device and really make it a mobile phone device. And the capabilities on that mobile phone is presence, as well as some of these new other things that the phone has, because a lot of these phones have step counters in them, like fitness trackers. There's no reason that data couldn't be sent as well to SmartThings Cloud, and you can do something with it. The only questions around like using the phone as a device is that battery life. So Android, you can do a lot of stuff in the background and you can kind of send whenever you want. So it's a pretty responsive device at the cost of battery performance. On iOS, you don't have as much flexibility for running stuff in the background or getting events out. So you really are more dependent upon waking the phone app up in order for it to send that stuff out. So that's maybe the risk. We don't really see it as a top thing, but like geolocation is a point to use. So whatever we can take advantage of background stuff, we don't want to have customers opening the app just to get an event out.
And there was a second part to that question. That was my question, but the second part was, how do you feel about having multiple apps, like a family of apps?
Yeah.
And it just goes to that point of having to open up a separate app, and that way you could have separate, like a device type app that does all the monitoring features, sends it back to the cloud.
No, I really like that approach. So with 1.7.0, part of what we've had a lot of like historically, so in software, we basically split the like core API access and the like APIs and model access. We split it out of the actual mobile application. So we actually now have a framework that we have internally that does all of our API interaction as well as client interaction. There's a bunch of core stuff in that. And just having that alone is basically allows for another app, like you said. We're also looking at how do we make the like sign-in process across all those apps unified, so you have a single sign-on source, as well as shared data. Like some of the stuff with the iOS that we've done has been actually around extensions or widgets, and they require shared data. So we have the frameworks in place to support all that. We just need to define and go create an app. But yeah, I like that approach much better because you can get something out quicker and iterate, test on it without affecting the actual mobile application.
Hey, Kyle, it looks like there's a bunch of follow-up questions also on chat if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah. Where did I go back to? Explain why
what about multiple user levels, access and controls, separate app notifications, MMS, or sending images?
Okay, so the MMS one and the separate notifications, that one, so we basically have a new feature. It's not available. It's in probably most of your apps, but it's not turned on for people. And we're calling it Contact Book. And that is essentially the answer to, I don't want everyone in my account to get the notification. I just want myself to get the notification, or I just want my Samsung S5 over MMS to get it and not my iPhone over push message. So it allows greater flexibility, separation, as well as like the ability to unauthorize an access channel. So I could turn off text messages. If somebody were to hack your account and add your phone number, you could just reply stop. So that is coming. We're working actually to bring that to parity both on iOS and Android, and there's like 2 more things that are left to actually make it a seamless experience for consumers, but we're hoping to release that as part of like this whole part of the V2 stuff. I will say, like, backing up one other thing, what mobile is trying to do is actually try to have iterative releases. We're going to try to shoot to release Android, iOS, Windows every month, once a month, and kind of roll with the idea of like a feature train. So if you have development going into it, you can expect a release at least every 4 weeks. This is very similar to what Facebook is doing, except their cadence is at 2 weeks. So we're starting with 4 and hoping to speed that up, but we got to start someplace.
Yeah, and on that note about Contact Book, like Kyle mentioned, so that's currently under development. The team is actually primarily working on bug fixes at this point. I think depending on, where things are at in the next couple of weeks, we may decide to push that out in May, or it may end up waiting till June. But I think that's a feature that you'll end up seeing actually pretty quickly. That's one of the new features that's pretty close to done. We just want to make sure that it's polished and that we have good migration in place for anyone who's using, existing contacts today.
Awesome, thank you. Wi-Fi based mobile presence instead of GPS, or in addition to?
That has been the hottest topic that we've had conversations around. It's not as easy as you think because of backgrounding issues. The same problems that exist for actually getting that out exist in the same thing. So instead of we'll have probably in the next version of the hub the ability to discover if the hub is in your same network, and we could use that to know if you're home or not, regardless of mobile presence. But the Wi-Fi access point as a geofence doesn't really work in the background. The alternative that we'll probably look at will be significant change notifications or significant change APIs. So currently in the mobile presence manager and iOS and Android and Windows, we use region detection. So we set a circle or a pin at a latitude and longitude and wait until you come in and out of that. And then when you're foregrounded, we actually actively turn the GPS on just because we have access to it. There is another mode that we haven't explored that is allowed to run in the background, and it's called significant change. And basically it's not as quick, but you do get changes when you're moving over 500 meters, and you can kind of tweak that along the way. So,
is that a limitation on iOS or Android or both?
Both.
Gotcha.
Mobile presence has historically been like the worst issue in mobile because we're dealing with these black boxes of systems. Like Android is a black box with Google Play, and iOS is a black box of Apple, and it's reasonably so. The manufacturers of those phones and OSs just say, here's how you do mobile presence, use us and we'll take care of the rest. And they're making all these determinations and assumptions that might not be to our best interest, but it's what they feel is the OS's best interest.
Cool. What about email notifications with attachments?
Email notifications, I don't know. Liz, do you know about that one?
Yeah, so email notifications, it's on our product roadmap. In terms of attachments, I'm definitely interested in some community feedback on what you feel is valuable. I know some things that we've mulled around in terms of attachments would be potentially photos taken by a camera, or maybe clip-based camera recordings. I could also see like a weekly summary of activity or possible energy consumption. It is on the roadmap. I wouldn't see it happening until later in this year, because we need to sort of think through what type of emails are important and what type of information we want to pull. But it's definitely something that we've already been talking about at a high level. But if people have feedback around what type of attachments they'd like to see, I'd love to get a download from people on that.
Mostly photos and videos. I think it's like, especially when, someone rings a doorbell or something, and then they take a picture or send it there directly type thing.
Yep. Cool. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something that wasn't blatantly obvious from that.
You can all just email Liz. I'm kidding. You guys can actually send it to me. I'll definitely send a list to Liz if you guys are interested. Liz is gonna kill me. What's the ETA on community developer access to these like existing tiles? Apparently they've been waiting for almost a year for them. Yeah, like HTML tiles and stuff.
So the issue with HTML tile, and the reason we haven't released it, is because of security. I mean, security is our number one thing around that. And then the other issue with an HTML tile is that we've tested this, you can only have one of them on the screen. That's it. If you put more than one on the same screen, the app will choke and die. Like, the reason being that you're basically putting a full web view in that screen, and it ends up being performant where you can't scroll the device. Unusable. We have other alternatives for HTML that we're looking at for like solution module development, which is actually something really, really powerful. You basically don't have to use the grid system. You can do whatever you want. And the security stuff, we'll say the security stuff is actively being worked on right now. I just saw a demo of it this morning or this afternoon.
So to ask question again before, like, what about MMS support instead of SMS?
I'm not sure. I think that'd be a limitation. Like, we don't have it in the platform today. We use Twilio for our SMS notifications. So it would take Smart App changes and platform changes in order to get more stuff in MMS.
So they were curious to see if they can get a list of items in the roadmap, even though there's no concrete date like that you can give us. Can you guys just give us like a little sneak peek of what you guys are doing?
So I believe, and I don't know if this has been finalized internally, but we've been working on a community public facing roadmap that was going to show things, I think, in quarter time frames. Ben, can you maybe speak to where that might be at if you're on the call?
We're getting pretty close to that. Right now, it's not broken out quite that granularly. It's like the rest of 2015 and then 2016. But the product managers, most of them have weighed in and looked at it. I don't know what else we have to do in order to share it. So I would expect that in the coming week to be able to do that.
Yeah, we're pretty close. We've been having a lot of dialogue about it. Ben obviously has been a huge champion and making sure that we get that done. So yeah, Ben, maybe we can just talk online afterwards to see what we can do to just get that finalized so that we can get that posted to the community.
And I mean, with that, I will have to say, and probably admit, maybe shouldn't say, but Dora is a person who loves to share that, and she's going to be in like the second, or she's going to be in like May 20th too. So you can always ask her questions. She like overshares, and it's like the best time to ask her all these questions too.
For the May 20th call already?
Already, just from my like conversations with Dora.
Dora will say.
Hey, I'm just saying she would. She shares a lot. Don't talk about Hub 4 yet. I'm just letting you guys know. I'm on your side. What about Wake on LAN support from the Hub?
For what type of devices?
Oh, forgot who actually asked that question. Anything that supports WOL on Edge?
It's coming. It'll be built into Hub Core.
Can you give us like a small update of maybe when?
Next V2 for Hub V2 for sure. Not certain about Hub V1, but it'll be in there for Hub V2.
Cool. Can you explain why icons changed from client side to server side?
Scale. The real answer is scalability. We want to be able to add icons to the icon set and not have to have a mobile release.
And will there be a mobile app that's able to screen rotate and fit?
So in terms of landscape mode, actually Kyle and I got off a call a couple hours ago where this topic came up. This is something that's always been sort of on our list. One of our challenges when it comes to landscape mode is the screen layout and the user experience that should appear for individual in landscape mode. And we would want to make sure that if we move to landscape that we didn't just do a switch on and just have a rotate. We want to be very thoughtful about that experience on the phone. We definitely want to make a unique experience for that on tablet as well. So we probably won't just do a flip on of the rotate feature. We need to just be more thoughtful about it.
Isn't there? I see the question. Isn't there rotation lock though in Android, or an app that can lock the rotation?
I believe there is.
It should be.
Yep, there is. So this one's my favorite question. Are there any plans
Just a second.
with upcoming Apple Watch, like a SmartThings Apple Watch app or something?
Yep. It's submitted. It's in the queue. So at the very least, I mean, it's a basic implementation of phrases right now. It's kind of what you see in the Today widget is the same data that you're going to see on the Apple Watch, with the ability to change location. So you actually be your watch will actually be contextual to the location that you have selected. And then if you were to change locations, you'd see the other set of phrases that you had actually configured. So.
What about, are there any plans to expand the functionality of Holo Home phrases now that widgets have been added to allow control only through Holo Home phrases? Like, for example, changing the thermostat modes instead of just temperature, opening garage doors, etc.?
I don't see any
are we
roadblock.
talking about changing the widget, or are we talking about changing the Hello Home phrases?
Probably the smart apps themselves.
Or
Right.
just expanding on Holo Home.
Yep. Yeah, those are smart apps, so there's no mobile implications to that. So we could change the smart apps today if we had requirements and people to work on it.
Cool. And what is the status roadmap for tablet versions of all 3 mobile apps? Is this part of the forthcoming UX update, or will it come later?
Next year.
Cool.
Unless we get information that leads us to believe that we need to change the focus on that, but right now tablet is an early next year priority.
Right. This year's priority is Hub V2 and a UX overhaul to basically, we're not, from our standpoint, we're trying to go after the next 1 million customers and scale that side of it. So consumer friendly as well as developer friendly is a hard challenge to solve.
Awesome. I know they were asking.
On that note,
No, go ahead,
another
Liz.
thing that we're really focused on this year is sort of making sure that our core is really solid. And I always worry when we start thinking about new screens and new layouts, because it just really fragments the entire team's time and attention, because we now need to start thinking about all these different screens and the programming behind all of those. And so when we talk about tablet, we're talking about tablet on Android, tablet on iOS, and tablet on Windows. And I personally don't want the team focused on those until I feel like the mobile app on the phones is in a solid enough state where we can do the right due diligence to do a good job on tablets. So that's the reason behind tablet for 2016. If our priorities change, or we get an enormous amount of talented people who come work for us, and we can push that timeline up, we'll do that. But right now, that's why it sits at 2016.
Awesome. I know they were also asking about these. Gilbert, are you on by any chance? Cool. I know there was some questions in regards to Philip Hughes and Logitech Harmony, Sonos, and Ratio. Am I saying that right? Sure. And Chamberlain. So I'm going to talk about that real quickly. In terms of Philips Hughes, there's no update on this yet. This may require a new hub and better LAN implementation. In terms of Logitech Harmony, we're getting close. We have a working prototype with the Harmony Cloud APIs. We need to make some modifications and can begin certification on this. This is weeks to come. Sonos and others, we will be working with these lab partners directly to migrate most of these out of the labs. In most cases, we'll have a direct relationship with them that can resolve some of these issues. Some of these will require the improvements coming from our new hub, mostly with LAN reliability. And then Ratio, this is dependent on their timeline. They're going to be building this integration for us. So, and then finally with Chamberlain MyQ, which I know everyone, it's a really highly requested item. We are working them directly and have kickstarted this recently. They have an aggressive certification process, so this is to come in the next few months. Hey Liz, do you know anything about Amazon Echo? Just out of curiosity.
I know very high level about Amazon Echo. I haven't interacted with one personally. I saw there was a bunch of comments about that in the chat here.
Yeah.
I don't know what our plans are to integrate with that. That would be a Gilbert question.
So I will hunt down Gilbert and try and get that answer for you guys. Cool. And then also, will there be beta channel update frequently, same as the 4-week schedule? Can you talk about that a little bit, Kyle? I know you and I have been working on that a little bit.
Yeah, we've been working on it. No, I don't suspect it's going to be at the same it'll probably be around the same 4-week schedule, but this whole idea of like what mobile is actually calling a release train is the idea that, if you development starts day 1 of like a month, and then 2 weeks in, we have basically feature complete and we cut a release branch. That release branch is what we're basically fixing bugs in, as well as pushing out to a beta channel. Once kind of stuff goes through that, then we'll actually be submitting it to the store about the 3rd or 4th week, and then we'll start the process kind of all over again. So the involvement is really once we've decided at that 2-week mark, once we've decided to cut a release candidate, and then subsequent builds will be cut from that automatically as bugs get fixed.
Can you describe your testing procedures around testing community apps/devices against release candidates on the mobile apps?
We're trying to involve some of with the beta channel. That's what we hope to achieve, is that we have community members who've contributed code and can tell us when device tiles break because of specific reasons, or smart app config pages changed or don't behave the same. Getting those things called out early and often is actually part of why we're doing the beta channel. We can't test everything. We just don't have the capacity to QA every smart app and every integration, but we want to basically, there's some really flexible stuff going on, so we should be able to push that back to some developers.
Yeah, and I would say, so Kyle, Emily, who's our QA manager, and myself sat down, it was a couple weeks ago now, after our last couple of mobile releases went out, and unfortunately there were some issues, as you all may know, and we had to turn around and do some quick hot fixes on both the Android and iOS side. And we really sort of talked through what can we do to avoid some of these issues, especially the issues that impact the community, because we don't want you guys to feel that pain. We don't want to just force an update and have you guys rewrite and rework the good work that you've already done. And we thought like one of the best ways to address that was by enlisting your help earlier, by doing a beta, by maybe doing an app update, hiding the features, and then flipping those features on to certain people who have been enrolled in that sort of beta group that we've identified, to help sort of vet some of those issues for us so that we can avoid things like that happening again.
I just also want to say and add that I've reached out to many of you for whether you were interested in participating in the beta. If I missed one of you, feel free to send me a message. I would love to have you assist in that too. I have another question, Liz, or Kyle. 2-factor authentication for mobile app, IDE, and other login areas?
Yeah. So, not on the road. It's not on the. Yeah, they're looking at it from the ID.
Discussions around it, but yeah, it's not a top priority right now.
From the mobile app, yeah, we've talked about doing. In one of our release builds, a couple of our builds that for developers, we actually have 1Password integration. There's some talk that I was going to try to look at, well, what would it take to have some of those types of integrations built in right away. But
are you committed to versioning the API, and what would be the time frame for version freeze be?
We do version the core APIs often when we're changing UX usually, or when we're changing stuff around. So there isn't really a time frame of when it actually happens, and not everything is changing at that same time. So that's what you mean. As far as like smart app or device type API, I think that's a different question for versioning that.
Gotcha. Is Jim here by any chance also?
Jim is here by any chance also.
Ooh, hi Jim. I had a question. Can you talk real quickly about the documentations updates?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like jumping in between conversations, but can you please talk about them?
Sure, that's okay. I put some in the chat too. I saw Todd's question. So the real brief summary of what I'm actively working on today is, in addition to some general process improvements around our documentation, including building out our backlog, which will be really useful for us as we increase the size of our documentation team. So in addition to that, I'm actively working to move our reference documentation off of the current server that it resides on and folding it into our documentation tooling that's used for our guides and the rest of our documentation. So that's a relatively tedious and modest size effort. And I get nervous around putting specific dates around it, but we expect something, if not by the end of this month, in the early part of May, to roll out around that. So it'll allow us to expand some of our reference documentation, be fully searchable, not behind a login wall, and generally put us on a better path going forward for being more easily updated and also contributed to by the community. So that's my 1-minute update.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions for Liz and Kyle? Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
So the security question, like why aren't we doing two-factor authentication, and concerned about the security of HTML. And the security around HTML is really, we're going to allow the events that the smart app subscribes to be injected into the HTML. And the HTML has the ability to send those events wherever the heck they want. And that's the security risk, is that we want to be able to control and know what's going on with those events, as well as we don't want somebody to be able to pull in a JavaScript library that goes to a porn website. Like we're going to have to end up hosting all of that stuff. So the security around that is really about access as well as securing the content inside. The other part of security with around HTML stuff that we've proved is that we can actually use the HTML to be displayed outside of the mobile app. So when you want to view like what's inside of a solution module, we could display that outside of it, but we only want that available for a set amount of time. So there's security around like short-lived tokens that essentially expire the page and is no longer accessible later on. So those are the things that are kind of driving our security issues. And that is really the reason we're pushing on that in HTML, is because we want to give that as an option for developers and partners to create new, different stuff that we've never seen using HTML and JavaScript and CSS.
Awesome. Hey, Major, can you talk a little bit about some of the events that are going on? I know I briefly mentioned IoT World and also Hack of Things, but I know we have a lot of meetups and everything else too. You seem to know on top of your head a lot more.
Yeah. Like you said, IoT World, we're going to probably do a workshop in San Francisco. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Portland, there's a workshop there. That's in May. There's a couple events in June that probably we're going to send ambassadors to. One's in New York, one's in DC. I'll be going to an event in Chicago. So look out for our calendar, and I'll post a link to it right now.
In terms of Minneapolis, we totally will be there end of May. I will send out more information as they finalize. Cool.
Oh, there's one more thing coming up that I wanted to mention. We may have mentioned it earlier, but we're going to do a UK, United Kingdom developer call on May 19th. It'll be like 9 a.m. Pacific, so that those guys can have it like kind of in the afternoon. But it'll be like our first UK developer call, and I'll post the link to RSVP for it. But it'll probably be like the same day. Actually, it's a Tuesday before our US one. But some of you'd love for you guys to join.
Cool. Do you guys have any other questions for Kyle or any of us? There's a lot of us here. Like Tyler's here, support team's here. Chris, you're not here. Ben's here.
Hey, I got a quick question. This is Patrick. Any update on the broken image tile that broke in 172/platform upgrade about 4 weeks ago that broke my generic camera device?
Which platform?
All of them. It was a simultaneous 1.7.0 release and the platform release that happened on the Friday.
Was that Android or iOS?
It's now across the board. It had nothing to do with the mobile team.
And it was like a carousel tile?
Yeah, it broke. It broke back in November too. So it's a regression issue. Somebody fixed it, put it back in there. It broke again.
How did it appear to be broken? What was the?
It just doesn't. It's an S3 Amazon issue. The bucket gets back, the key gets back, but it never actually presents an image to the image carousel.
Ah. I do know people are working on the video player, but I haven't heard of any recent bugs that are there. Or not video player, camera, the carousel.
I'm pretty sure I saw that ticket earlier today when I was scanning through. I can follow up to see where that's at.
Okay. I completely rewrote it, moved the S3 image processing outside of the parse command, and magically that works. I passed that on to support about 3 weeks ago. I'll be honest, the lack of feedback and communication from the team is terribly depressing. It's so frustrating to just have something completely break and go a month without being able to solve it, and I'm able to rewrite it and get it to work. But yet something that was working for months just breaks.
That's one of the main reasons why we really want to enlist and start doing more betas before we go fully public with features, so that we can avoid situations like this going forward. I appreciate the feedback and your sort of candidness. Us just hearing your pain and feeling it a little bit more will put more pressure on us to make sure that we're doing the due diligence to make it right going forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it just gets to a lot of finger pointing internally. I know the difficulties of who broke it and trying to find out where that is. And I don't really care. I just want to know who can fix it. And if it's as simple as, look, we don't want S3 commands inside the parse, fine, update the documentation, I'll rewrite it and submit it. It's fine to have changes, but changes without documentation. And Jim, you're doing a fantastic job, but you don't even know. I've tried to use both normal channels and back channels to try to get some answer to this, and it just lags out.
And Patrick, I really can feel that pain too. I have to agree. One thing, part of it is, and I really hate to admit it, but really it's, these guys work so hard every day. We are always constantly hiring. In fact, documentation again, is one of them. In fact, we have someone joining us, in the next few weeks, and I'm going to be introducing him real soon for documentation. But part of it, part of the pain point does happen when, we don't have enough resources, which we're, obviously fixing with hiring people. But, that's not an excuse or anything. That's just, I feel like I had to give you an update, that we are still hiring a lot, and that is, part of some of the reasons why, with limited resources, sometimes you do feel that pain point on your side too. And I know you guys are talking about roadmaps. As Ben said, he's going to be delivering a roadmap very soon, probably within the week or two. We just, as you know, I always try to give you guys as much visibility. Whatever I know, I tend to share with you guys. So, we'll certainly get those really, really soon, and we'll definitely, share that with you ahead of time. Part of these development calls that I've been organizing for you guys is, so you guys can ask these questions to people like Liz and Kyle, who are on the front lines of creating these. They're the specialty. They're the ones that actually know what they're talking about, what they're doing on the day to day, and they can speak to it really, really well. And I'm hoping that they, slip some. they slip some things and share with you some of the roadmap that maybe they weren't supposed to share through these. But in reality is, we are working on them. We're constantly working on stability and security, and those are our priorities. So I really hate to say bear with us, but it's all uphill from here, and I can see it from where I'm sitting. So
Well, and I think in addition to this, like, we're on that journey with you. So the frustrations that you feel, we feel just as much, right? So I think we should look at this more as like, we're in this together. Like it's easy to finger point, but I think we're all in this together. And one of the things that I really appreciate about SmartThings and our developer community and our customers is really smart, passionate people about this industry and wanting to take home automation to the next level. And we're all just sort of in this together because we're super passionate. We all just want this to work, right? We all just want to move in this direction. And that's what like makes me wake up and go into work every day, because I want to be here and I want to make this happen. So I know that right now it feels a little bit, I call it's the awkward teenage phase of IoT, but we're sort of in that. We're working out the kinks and we're making things happen. But continue to share your feedback. And sometimes the raw, the better. Yes, I appreciate it. Stay with us, like April said, and we'll get better. We'll improve. We have no choice if we want to survive. So thanks.
awesome. So what kind of projects are you guys working on? Todd, I don't get it. You said pigs.
Major has a pig that he's showing up there. You didn't see it?
I got it working.
You did.
Oh, how cute!
Cool. Are you? Is it going through SmartThings?
I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna do that next.
All right. Let me know.
Hey, Major, can you give us some updates about smart apps?
Yes. Yeah, we've seen you guys on the forums talking about it. We sent an email to about 105 smart app and device type community members. We got about 40 responses, and myself and Chris, along with one of our new colleagues, Magnus, we're kind of all working on this and like trying to trim the queue down, kind of organize the smart apps that are ready for approval. Thinking about how like as smart apps become an open source thing, like how to make that look for users and how to make it look for developers. So we're thinking about all that stuff right now.
Thank you. And also thank you guys for joining that workshop. So on the one that was on the 16th. So I'm really happy that a lot of you guys were there. And Mike was asking about thermostats. Yes, we have it. I did send out some beta items out today. So some of you guys are receiving some goodies very soon. I'm going to ask some of you guys to hold off on installing them until I'm ready to ask you guys to. So cool. Any other questions, guys? Oh, have you guys met Kelsey?
What's going on, guys? And gals, I should say.
You should like stand right there so then they see you.
Okay. What would you like to know about me, April? How may I better introduce myself?
What do you do at SmartThings, Kelsey? She's my favorite, but I've always said like Jim is my favorite.
I work on the QA team and help try to catch some of those bugs before they go out to the public. And I'm also in the process of helping with our internationalization and speaking to some of our unique challenges that we'll have as we go to localize and internationalize the SmartThings platform. So that's a little bit about me. Any other questions I can answer for you, April, that the developers might have?
Yeah, why are you so cool?
Because I live in Minnesota and I freeze my rear end off most of the year.
Well, I'm going to go visit you in May.
That's why I'm so cool. So I'm in the Palo Alto office working this week. I'm trying
It can still happen in May, just FYI.
Yes, it snowed a couple days ago.
Yesterday.
So anyways, hello developers. It's good to see you. Thank you for your passion.
Cool. All right, guys. Guess that's awesome. So, any other questions? Hey, Robert, how are you doing? Sorry, your screen just popped up, so I just wanted to say hi.
Hello. I was going to ask a question. Now, when is the mini multi-sensor coming out?
Ooh, Tyler's going to talk about it. Tyler Lang.
So I don't have an exact date, but it's expected that we'll see our new line of sensors, which is it's a multi-sensor that's actually in the same form factor as our existing 3 series Centralite sensors, but it's about 1/3 of the size, and it'll do temperature, acceleration, and contact. Temperature, acceleration, contact. So you'll see that at the same time as our Hub 2 launch. Whatever mysterious date that is, though it's certainly getting closer and closer.
Perfect. Look forward to it.
But speaking of sensors, do you guys know that there's a sale going on with all of our V1 sensors? I'm totally buying all of them because there's like if you buy 2 or more type thing, there's like a deal going on. It's pretty awesome. Lang, are you going to post it?
I'm sorry, am I posting what deal?
Oh, yeah, the deal.
Oh, shop.smartthings.com is the link. So
I didn't mean to sell to you guys, I promise you. But there is a really good deal going on right now. So I'm excited for the new ones, but I might grab some old ones myself. So Well, cool. Thank you guys so much.
I'll throw one other thing out there that's unrelated to our sensors, and this is probably blasphemous to say, but I hear there are really good deals on the Best Buy Peak sensors right now, and those may or may not pair as smart sense devices. So if you have a Best Buy near you, go and pick up some of the Peak sensors. Because
how much did Best Buy pay you to say that?
They may or may not have paid me in reward points. So
did they pay you in gum?
Yes, lots of gum.
All right, guys. I guess that concludes our talk. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we actually have a very amazing person. Why is his name escaping me right now?
What's the role? What's the role? And I can tell you the name.
So embarrassing. He's my new best friend who actually came out here this week.
Who is? What job?
He does the stability of our servers. Rob! Yeah, so Rob is going to be here. I think he's
one of our
right now.
Yes, he's from our tech ops team, and so he's actively working day and night to get our platform to a stable place.
Yeah, did you know last night he was here like till 11:30?
Yes, that's how committed he is. He ran from a company dinner to go work on the platform. So,
yeah.
So we really are passionate about getting this to a better place.
Yeah, so I encourage you guys to send me some questions to Rob. He's pretty awesome. In fact, he's actually now my favorite person because we have like the same sense of humor, which is maybe not that great sometimes, but
it works. It works for in office. So.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. And thank you, Liz and Kyle. We loved having you here. Thank you.
Thanks,
yeah, it was
everyone.
fun. Thanks.